In the headlines, court grants 10 and bad governance protesters bail. Maiduguri residents return as flood waters recede, hope restored. Parents groan as school fees and stationery costs soar amid economic crunch. Away from Nigeria, farmers killing women, feeding bodies to pigs in South Africa. Hello and welcome to the news update on Trust Television. I am Aisha Salihu. The news in detail. Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court in Abuja on Wednesday granted 10 and bad governance protesters who were arrested and detained for treason, among others, to a bail in the sum of 10 million naira each and one surety in like sum. While delivering the ruling, the trial judge held that Nigeria's criminal justice system has its stipulations for the prosecutor and the defendant. Justice Nwite agreed with the argument of the first, second and fourth defendants' counsel, Abubakar Marshall, that anybody charged with a criminal offense must be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Residents of Maiduguri town displaced by water from the Alau Dam are beginning to return to their homes as flood water recedes gradually. Many of the flood victims who slept outside said that though the water had subsided, they wanted to assess their losses. Meanwhile, a situation report on the flood by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said more than 239,000 people were affected by the flood. The floods have forced some of the affected people to move spontaneously to the Muna IDP camp, which was already hosting over 50,000 IDPs. Government authorities have evacuated residents in high-risk riverine areas to several locations. Also, the federal government has begun the evacuation of residents of the affected communities in the flooding that has ravaged Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State. A statement by the National Emergency Management Agency on Tuesday said it is also working on the provision of food, shelter, and medical assistance for the victims. The unfortunate flooding situation in the Maiduguri metropolis of Borno State, which started last weekend and increased in the early hours of Monday, resulted from excess water from the Alau Dam. One of the spillways of Alau Dam collapsed, leading to a significant increase in water flow downstream and exacerbating the flooding in surrounding areas. The areas impacted by the incident include Shehuri, parts of the government residential area, Gambomi, Budum, Bola Bolim, Adam Kolo, Millionaires Quarters, Monday Market, and Gwange. As a result, NEMA said the Borno State government has opened up Bakassi camp to accommodate those displaced by the flood. The chairman, National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Kaduna State Chapter, Ishaku Yakubu, has condemned the recent abduction of health workers in Kuyelo, a village in the troubled Birnungwari local government area of the state. The chairman said it is unfortunate that the medical and health workers were abducted while saving the lives of the people in the remote community. Trustee Bello Musa tells us more.
By bandit. The abduction of patients and health workers by a bandit who invaded a hospital at Kuyelo, a rural community in Birnungwari local government area, comes a little over 24 hours after an incident of kidnapping and killing of locals was also recorded at Kalla community in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. According to the Kaduna State chapter of the Association of Nurses and Midwives, the ugly event is a threat to health workers, especially in the rural community.
But in a situation where, one, the health facility is not secured, the health worker himself will be afraid to go there. In fact, even the patients too are afraid to go to some health facilities, especially the primary health care centers that are in the communities. So one, if the patient is afraid to go, health is affected. People will not seek for help. So it's a major problem. Secondly, the healthcare worker that is supposed to go and provide the health is also afraid to go there.
Other stakeholders and residents of Kaduna are also expressing concern with the lingering insecurity in Kaduna and the North in general, calling for more synergy between the security agencies to tackle the menace.
We keep on seeing no efforts. What you see is a continued insurgency, abduction, kidnapping, killings.
We need to believe that we are all one in Nigeria. So Nigeria is a single country, and we all have a common interest, which our common interest is the whole country should be at peace. For us to achieve progress in this country, we must have that unity, keeping all tribes aside, being Nigerians first before being from any other region.
Opinions. We will work with the private sector. We will work with the press. We will work with everybody, the elite. This is an existential condition that affects all of us, and we need to approach it from that perspective. Everyone is a stakeholder.
Besides Kuyelo health workers who are now in the hands of the bandits, Dr. Ganiat Popola of the National Eye Care Center Kaduna is still in captivity months after she was kidnapped at her residence at the staff quarters. Bella Musa, Cross TV News Kaduna.
The chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Safety Standards and Regulations, Suleiman Abubakar Gomi, says safety in the Nigerian electricity sector cannot be compromised. He said this during the Nigeria Electricity Supply Industry Safety Conference at the National Assembly Complex in Abuja. The committee said it would collaborate with the Association for Public Policy Analysis and other stakeholders working in the power sector to organize the conference. He said despite efforts by the federal government to address issues of safety in the sector, problems still exist. These problems, the lawmaker said, include vandalism, theft, installation of electricity by non-licensed electrical installers, production, marketing, and use of substandard electrical materials, among others. He said the situation calls for enforcement of laws and policies to strengthen and enhance safety standards and regulations.
Like I said, it is a collective effort. One organization cannot. If SON allows substandard cables to come in, it's not necessary NEMSA would know. But LECAN people that are at the end, that are the end users would always know that this is substandard products. Now, are they speaking with NEMSA? Are they reporting cases to NEMSA, or are they just applying them and use on clients that don't even know what is genuine or not? Now, this is designed to address that. We want all the stakeholders to be speaking to one another, and they have to learn to speak to one another. I think this should be a fallout of the conference, by the grace of God. Yeah.
The head of civil service of the Federation, Didi Walsin Jack, has announced the establishment of war rooms to serve as critical hubs for managing and monitoring the implementation of the Federal Civil Service Strategy and Implementation Plan 2021 to 2025, which, according to her, will aid civil service reforms. Wilson Jack said the war rooms will be dedicated to addressing each of the 6 pillars and crucial enablers of the reform plan, intended to tackle the specific challenges associated with each pillar. A statement from the Director of Press of the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Eno Olotu, on Wednesday, said Head of Service disclosed this at the recently concluded retreat with Federal Permanent Secretaries in Zuba, Niger State, while Sinjak explained that the war rooms, which will be led by permanent secretaries, will involve all key stakeholders to ensure swift and coordinated action. She added that the goal is to win these wars and bring the reforms to a successful conclusion for the benefit of both the federal and civil service and the Nigerian public. The Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yorubaland, Ìbà Gani Abiodun Adams, has voiced out his frustration with President Bola Tinubu, saying the president has disappointed many Nigerians who brought him to power. He criticized the president's handling of the petroleum sector, especially the recent hike in price of premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol, saying the situation is worsening the hardship in the land. He asked the president to reverse what he called the ugly trend, saying the time is going. In an open letter to Tinubu, Adams reminded the president that in the build-up to the 2023 elections, many Nigerians were persuaded that as a Democrat exposed to modern way of governance, the president will perform better than Muhammadu Buhari, a soldier who deepened the poverty levels of Nigerians and increased insecurity from 2015 to 2023. He, however, lamented that events of today have proved that they were wrong, as many Nigerians who thought he was the Messiah they were waiting for have been disappointed. To other stories and outer security matters, the Jigawa State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has arrested a 30-year-old man, Usaini Magaji, for allegedly raping a 7-year-old girl in Katao Dawa village, Kogama local government area. According to the command's PRO, ASC Badruddin
Our country's crude oil production is reducing because of vandalism of pipelines and crude oil theft. We can't continue to fold our hands while this menace is going on. We must checkmate them.
Okafor also took newsmen to an abandoned construction site in Egbo Eche where over 70 tanks of crude were stored.
My coming has exposed them, and we keep on exposing them until they stop. They must relocate from Rivers State because Rivers State will not be conducive for all of us. They better relocate. So we are going to evacuate the products to our SBT yard, and at the same time, we will sell the compound while our investigation will continue. For those having the compound, for those doing this business to be exposed, and we're going to prosecute.
He thanked the Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara for his continued support and further appealed for more, especially in terms of operational vehicles as the local government elections approaches.
Some parents of fresh and returning students of nursery, primary and secondary schools in Lagos State say they are worried that their children may not be able to continue schooling due to the astronomical rise in the cost of educational materials and fees. Speaking to Trust TV in Lagos, some of the parents who are finding it difficult to cope with the rise in the financial burden of their wards say the recent hike in petrol price may result in many dropping out of school. Victoria Tokolo has more in this report as presented from our studio. The economic hardship in the country has forced many Nigerian parents to adopt different methods when it comes to their children's education. As primary and secondary schools resume for a new academic session, many private school parents who previously relied on school bus services for their children have opted out as they are unable to afford both the bus and school fees. A school bus driver who chose to remain anonymous said on Tuesday morning he only picked up 9 students, a stark contrast with previous session when the bus will be filled to capacity. The economic situation of the country has made some parents to withdraw their children from school.
Before 1 week, what children will enter school, I'm starting thinking how I won't do myself, because all the money that I have, every time I don't spend it. Nothing. To pay school fees, they're easy. You know that when children, they want to enter school, you have to buy books and some equipment that students will use. Everything just they hard. The salary no pay. And all this transportation to go school, everything just get somehow hard. All the children are hungry. Say children that sleep yesterday night without food, this morning they will still go to school to go and suffer. We are really suffering in Nigeria. There's no food, there's nothing. Even the school children, they are suffering. Not some people have never even paid school fees of last term. This time, even some schools have sent their letters that without paying school fees the last term, that you will not, your child will not go to school this term. So it's not easy for people that have 1 or 2 or 3 children in the school now, and the cost of living, everything is high every day.
Why I withdraw them in school is because of the school fees is high. Do you understand? Then, and also, after strongly and train them for school, there's no work in country that you will hoping on to put them tomorrow. So it's better for me to put them in handwork, which I put 3 of them. I have 3 kids now, 2 boys and 1 girl.
As the cost of living surges with each passing day, Nigerians urge the federal government to reduce the price of fuel in the country, saying the increase in fuel is a major factor driving up school fees. They believe that if the price of fuel is reduced, the cost of school fees and school bus fares and others will definitely reduce. In health, the National Center for Disease Control and Prevention has said Nigeria recorded 67 confirmed cases of mpox from 1,031 suspected cases in 23 states and the Federal Capital Territory. This was disclosed at a press briefing held in Abuja on Wednesday. Speaking, the Director General of the NCDC, Jide Idris, said the agency is optimizing surveillance in states to ensure accurate detection. Idris noted that the Port Health Authority is also working with border states to ensure prevention of the clade into the country. Mpox is a rare viral zoonotic disease, meaning it can be transmitted from animals to humans and between humans. The states with confirmed cases are Akwa Ibom, Enugu, Bayelsa, Cross River, Benue, Plateau, Delta, FCT, among others. On the foreign scene, 3 men in South Africa are accused of killing 2 women and feeding their bodies to pigs on their farm in a case that has outraged the public. The men appeared in court Tuesday in the northern province of Limpopo. The state wants them to remain behind bars until their trial is concluded. Farm owner Zakaria Johans Olivier, supervisor Adrian Rudolph the Wet, and employee William Musora face 2 counts of premeditated murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and possession of an unlicensed firearm. Musora, a Zimbabwean national, also faces charges of being in the country illegally. Still on the foreign scene, the jury is out on who won the first and likely the last debate between United States presidential candidates Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Tuesday's event in Philadelphia gave Americans their most detailed look at a campaign that has dramatically changed since the last debate in June. The proceedings, hosted by ABC Network, began with an awkward handshake but went ahead relatively smoothly, in part thanks to the candidates' muted microphones, which reduced interruptions. Moderators asked the two for their stances on the economy, abortion, climate change, and foreign policy, including the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine and Israel and the Israel-Hamas war. Harris focused her early remarks on the economy, while Trump often pivoted to immigration and promoted conspiracy theories.
To do, because listen, I think that we think today was a good day, and it kind of was. But we have 56 days to go, and guys, we're still the underdogs in this race. It's tight. We believe in who we are. We believe in the American people. This is a campaign about bringing folks together, knowing the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us.
All I do is say the truth. I say the truth. If I lose votes or gain votes, I don't care. But this was my best debate. I thought it was very good. I thought she was very weak on foreign policy. She was very weak on the border.
What about black voters? What about black voters, Mr. President? What do you think black voters
I love black voters. I love them, and they love.
Lastly, on the foreign scene, passengers using Kenya's main international airport are stranded following a demonstration on Wednesday by workers against a planned deal between the government and a foreign investor. Planes have remained grounded since the demonstration. The government has said that the build and operate agreement with India's Adani Group would see the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport renovated and an additional runway and terminal constructed in exchange for the group running the airport for 30 years. Kenya Airport Workers Union, in announcing the strike, said the deal would lead to job losses and inferior terms and conditions of service for those who will remain. Kenya Airways announced on Wednesday that there would be flight delays and possible cancellations because of the ongoing strike at the airport, which serves Nairobi. And with that, we've come to the end of the news update on Trust Television. Do not forget, you can always follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. I'm Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for watching. Join us again.